And that's when they started building the temple. And great too is Nehemiah. No Ezra. The second or third book that doesn't mention Ezra. And finally, the whole point of this book, to praise his ancestors. But it was the high priest, Simon, son of Onias, who repaired, chapter 50, the temple during his lifetime, who laid the foundations to the double height and buttressed the temple precinct. So this person is praising Onias' ancestor, father actually. And it shows him doing a priestly atonement. Like line 13, youthful cedar of Lebanon, surrounded by trunks of palm trees. Now, as I told you, this book was found in the Cairo Geniza. It's also been found among the Dead Sea Scrolls in fragmented form. And another copy of it, which is a crucial connection, was found, in Hebrew that is, at Masada, where the Jews, the zealots, the extreme zealots, made their last stand and committed suicide. So that tightens the connection by all those three locations. Cairo Geniza, Masada, and Qumran all have Hebrew versions of Ecclesiasticus. Tightens it further. I do believe that the Masada people were refugees from Qumran, who went there for protection and final sanctuary, and just didn't happen for them because the Romans were more persistent than they imagined they would be. We'll get to that. But look how this ends. In the one that was found in Cairo and in Masada, it also includes the Zealot covenant for Simon. He was a zealot for the laws, and it also speaks that he was a true son of Zadok. So it mentions both the Zealot covenant, that is of Phinehas, the zeal of Phinehas for Simon, and it also mentions he was a true son of Zadok, what we would like to call in this class the Zadokite covenant. So this priesthood has both the Zealot and Zadokite covenants operating for it. You'll say, what is the Zadokite covenant? This person here in rabbinic literature that it's describing is called Simeon the Tzaddik. So not only is he a true high priest, he's also a tzaddik, a righteous one. Later on in Christian literature, what is Jesus' brother James going to be called? James the Just, James the Tzaddik. I submit to you that in some form of righteousness, Zadokite covenant is operating on behalf of James for the high priesthood. Finally, the letter to the Hebrews. What's, as we said last time, the covenant for Jesus? A priest of higher purity and righteousness, the letter of the Hebrews. No wonder it's written to the Hebrews says. Jesus is such a high priest, both king and high priest, like all these others. And he is a high priest of the order of Melchizedek, or Melchizedek. Melchizedek is another Zadokite type allusion. Because once again, Melech is king, Zedek is righteousness. You know enough Hebrew now in this class to know that. King of righteousness, a priesthood after the order of a king of righteousness. A righteous high priesthood. So I'm submitting to you that in the Dead Sea Scrolls, what they're after is a righteous, perhaps genealogically pure high priesthood. We'll talk about that as we go along. But certainly, Zadokite can be both symbolic as well as actual. Who's the first Zadok? The high priest in David's temple. So the first high priest of the first temple was Zadok. So the line of Zadok that all these people are claiming they're authentic priests comes down from Phineas through Zadok to these people here in the 2nd and 1st century. Now the question that's being raised by some of these people, Maccabees 2 for instance, is, are these real high priests? Is Onias' brother a real high priest? No, he's not, because he's a Crete. He's not righteous. He's a traitor. He's not pious. He's not a zealot, and so on and so forth. So you have to kind of combine all these things, and that's what's so interesting, that the Hebrew version has both of those in the description of this Simon, the high priest here. Look at this. I told you in passing, there are 2 nations, line 25, that my soul detests. No brotherly love lost here. And the third is no nation at all. The inhabitants of Mount Seir, they're the Edomites, across the Jordan and the desert there, now called Idumeans in this Roman period, Idumeans, and the Philistines, the inhabitants of the coastline, and that stupid people living at Shechem. And who are the stupid people living at Shechem? The Samaritans. And it says they're no people at all. So, I mean, okay, I'm not advocating this. I just want to show you how things were looked on in 150 BC. And then this is the writing that was committed to Jesus ben Sira, Jesus son of Sira. This is the writing by Jesus son of Sira, and so on and so forth. Well, he's the actual author of this book, so often this book is called in Hebrew Ben Sira. Instead of Ecclesiasticus, it's called Ben Sira after its actual author. So we have a lot of information here. Okay, I don't want to hurry. I want to get back to where I was. So that clarifies a few things there, right, about who this Onias is. So he's killed. Onias is his son of this person. So now, let's go and see what happens after he's killed. Find where I was. 2 Maccabees. Okay. So, in chapter 3, he had first observed the law perfectly as possible, and was zealot for the law and with piety, and was a protection of the people. By the way, there's someone called Tobias in line 11. Tobias is one of the books of the Apocrypha. Josephus identifies them as a priestly clan living over in Transjordan called the Tobiats. So that is really